you played in the league for a long time, and everyone last year we had when Odell tore his ACL during the Super Bowl, it's like, oh man, we can't be playing on turf anymore. You can't be playing on that. Then you go and play in the Arizona Cardinals stadium, and I don't know what the exact if it's a field turf or what kind of turf that is exactly in that Arizona Cardinals stadium, or if it's grass.
It's grass.
Oh, yeah. It's grass.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that takes away the whole narrative of being safe, because that game, I think Brian Baldinger posted a tweet on there's one of Mahomes, his 16-yard scramble that he had. Mm-hmm. If you look on that play, there's 6 or 7 guys who fell and tripped on that play. And the whole game, it was like happened like that. And our team, we got to play in Arizona week 1. That's when Harrison Butker got hurt on that kick where he slipped. And going into this game, we apparently prepared for that, the slippery conditions. Obviously, it's only so much you can do to prepare for slippery conditions, but we had done that. That was kind of part of our game plan over the last few weeks. I'm sure there's ways to kind of mimic that. But what do you think the league needs to do as far as like hosting sites, as far as like hosting a Super Bowl on the biggest stage, the game on the biggest stage on a field like that in that condition? And that's something that people always say about the Arizona Cardinals field, is that it is a slippery field, and they know that going into this. Should the NFL be looking at things differently as far as looking at to where to put these Super Bowl games? Because I mean, that kind of takes away an element of the game, don't you think? Of having playing this game on that kind of field.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, people were saying it, and I'll be honest, man, I didn't notice that much of it until somebody said something. I was just like, okay, I don't know, maybe. But the thing is, man, if you know you're gonna be playing a Super Bowl, you got to make sure that the field conditions, everything is pristine, right? That everybody is going to be as safe as possible. So that if anything does happen, like it doesn't come back and say, well, look, this is the reason because of the field conditions or whatever. But I think it is the responsibility of whoever the whole city is to make sure everything is right. But it should be in consideration. But look, the guys played all year in Arizona. So it's not like we don't know that this is a field condition you have to be playing with or playing on, right? I guess they kind of figured and factor in like, well, look, guys haven't played on it all season. I haven't really seen too many injuries come out of it unless you have. Now, if there was like a high count of guys like injuries come out of it, that would be concerning. But, guys slipping and stuff like that, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really notice that much. I think people made a bigger deal about it than I did. But sometimes, man, everybody's playing in them, right? Because you used to say the same thing about turf. Like, oh, man, turf makes guys fast. It's unfair conditions. Well, everybody's playing on turf, right? So who's getting any advantage of it? Mm-hmm. So I think if you do have something like that, and it's like, okay, it's blatantly people are, slipping and doing all those different things, then you had to look into it.
Yeah, I saw something, and I think this was more Chief fan driven, but it was like, because the Super Bowls, they always want to play these in warm climates, domes, stadium type atmospheres,
right?
And I think it was a Chief fan who tweeted, and it stuck to me a little bit, but it was like more like, if we're going to play in conditions like this, then we may as well play in outdoor stadiums and let stadiums like Arrowhead host the Super Bowl if we don't really care about field conditions and stuff, and we're letting guys, if we're putting guys and letting them subject themselves to be in slippery conditions like this, so the elements don't matter, then let them play in an actual stadium like Arrowhead or something like that, or Buffalo Stadium.
No,
what are your thoughts on that?
No, man. Look, you still want warm weather. I don't care what you do. Right? You don't want to be cold. You just don't want to be in a cold city. That doesn't make any sense at all. But I do say that at least when you do have that, if you know that you're the whole city, you make sure that something like a situation like this doesn't occur.
Yeah, and that was one thing that Kelce did mention that on his podcast was the paint. Like on the field, like they had a logo of the Super Bowl logo, and I was actually scared on the game-winning field goal. I think we were at the end of that Super Bowl logo. I was like, oh shoot! I was like, that's that paint is. I was like, I hope nothing happens. Obviously, nothing happened there, but they said that area is where the paint, where that other extra logo was. That's where a lot of the slippage was happening on the sidelines and in the middle of the field.
Well, Jokers got to get their logo out there, man.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be some extra. We'll make sure we know who's doing it, okay? Talk to the league office about that. That's who hey, write a letter. Hey, dear Roger Goodell, NFL, okay? This logo thing is ridiculous. So
Yeah, I'm sure some Eagles fans will have Chris Jones send that logo to Roger Goodell after that embrace he had after the game. They had everyone saying, "Oh, it's all rigged for the Chiefs." Look at that.
Man. Yeah, look, that's you're gonna hear it talk.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't look. Why entertain it? Really?
Yeah.
Why entertain it? I mean, somebody's always going to say something like that. We know there's idiots out there. It's rigged. All look at the last play. I'm sure we're going to talk and bring that up too with the holding call and whatnot. Nacho, when he was sitting there thinking, I'm just like, man, what do we do with you? I mean, honestly. I mean, you just argue the point. I get that you play for, Philly at a time and, you want to make your argument and then it's just TV. So it's crazy, man.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny too. It's like you have so many people, Eagles fans, and I don't expect them to watch Chiefs games. Yeah. But I was arguing with the guy because, I'm a 76ers fan, so there's a lot of overlap there with people who are Philadelphia Eagles fans. So I saw this one guy who was tweeted about the hug that Goodell had with him, and it was like, oh, because I in that little quick little snippet, we don't hear the whole conversation. We just hear him. I think he says, I don't care about the way you hit the quarterback or something like that. And I was like, we don't know. The context matters on this. We don't know what kind of conversations they've had before. You don't watch Chiefs games, so you don't know how many times Chris Jones has been penalized for roughing the passer or any of those kind of things. So you don't know that. So context matters. Then also the embrace that he had with Roger Goodell was mimicked the one that he had with Roger Goodell on draft night, where he picked him up and had that really big embrace with him and stuff. And you don't get these. The context matters in those situations, and Eagles fans don't understand that. They just think, oh, Roger Goodell's telling him he doesn't care how he hits the quarterback. It's like there's probably some joke in there between the two of them because of how many times Chris has been penalized for roughing the passer.
I'm sure, and I'm sure it's been a point that Roger Goodell's been on his desk, about certain guys doing particular things, and I'm sure it's been like a topic of interest sent from the Chiefs saying, like, look, man, look, you can look into this. Chris is not doing anything that is malicious in no way. He's just playing football. Why is he being fined for something that he's being paid to do, right? And so he's supposed to get after the quarterback. He gets after the quarterback, but we feel like the way he's being treated is unfairly. Mm-hmm. So, they can look at that, man. But look, they have a rapport. Chris Jones is one of the faces of the NFL. I mean, we got to be honest about that. We're talking about a guy who was up for Defensive Player of the Year, right? Probably should have won it, to be honest with you. I think he was really snubbed. That's me personally. But he's one of the stars of the NFL, period. So that's just what it is. And so you're going to have that with the commissioner knowing who those guys are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think with NBA and the NFL, for me, I think both MVP awards, Defensive Player of the Year awards, I think all of those need to kind of have somewhat. I know the regular season awards.
Yeah.
But look at it, JD. One of the things they always look at when they look at MVP, when they look at these big time awards, they look at where your team is ranked. So being in the playoffs does kind of matter a little bit. Winning does matter. So I think they need to take a little bit of playoffs when it comes to some of these awards. I mean, that's what I think. But.
Of course. I mean, it's the full scope of it. I think, this your entirety of playing throughout the entire year, right? What you do. Mm-hmm. But, to me, man, I don't know how when the voting came out and, he only received a certain many votes. I'm just like, who is not watching this guy play? Right. Yeah. Is it because we are more kind of looking at the offense? Is that the reason? Because more of our focus is on Patrick Mahomes and that side of the ball. And we don't quite see the brilliance of Chris Jones. And then maybe, the lack of what, he's worked on. The other guy that might not be doing as much as he's doing and the way he's going from defensive tackle to defensive end, making plays. I mean, this guy ended up having, how many sacks was it this year?
I want to say 15 and a half.
Come on, man. Are you kidding? Seriously? And he's, man, 15 and a half sacks, defensive tackle. It goes to defense and every once in a while. Every blue moon gets something, 15 and a half sacks, and I just don't get it. I don't.
Yeah. Well, it's the same reason why you saw so many people picking the Eagles was that our defense as a whole gets overlooked. And I think people forgot how good our defense was, and they don't know how good our defense is because people are focused on the offense. And that's just the thing with the Chiefs over the last 5 years. Good offense, suspect defense. It's like, no, our defense is actually better than everyone thinks. And the people who knew about our defense, and that was the thing. That was one thing too, JD. And of course you do. Of course we do. But like seeing the amount of former players or current players who are going on these shows, I think Stephon Diggs, teams who played us, Stephon Diggs went on a show and he was like, "Nah, I'm picking the Chiefs." I mean, I think people are sleeping on how good that defense is, and a lot of players who played against us. I think I saw Bengals went on one of the shows. I think it was Chase, I believe, or Higgins. One of the shows was like they picked us, and it was okay. The guys who played against us are picking us. They know what they're talking about.
Absolutely. Shoot, they felt the wrath of the Chiefs defense. They know what it is. And so we watched it all year. We see it. We've seen the development of the young secondary. We've seen how good Bolton has been playing like it's something else. Like, oh my God, Bolton's incredible. He's been incredible all year. So, okay, it's not news to us. As far as their defensive line and what they've been doing all year too. Frank Clark, how he came in, during the playoffs, he was coming in, had spurts during the season, was just showing his himself when he comes up. We know what they had. We know that. All these other guys, all these other analysts and whatnot are watching other football. They're watching their teams, and I get that part of it. Or they're trying to watch everything, and they don't know enough of, Chiefs in itself and how good the defense is. And so like I said, we've seen that development, man. It's just, and those guys that played against them, they know for a fact how good they are. They've watched these guys develop. And so probably those guys should have taken a pause. All those dudes, Howie and all those dudes should have probably sit back like, oh, okay. These dudes are saying, Chiefs are going to win. And they ain't saying it just because, they lost and they're not in there. Or they just going for the AFC team. They're going to because they like, look, this secondary is really, really good.
Yeah.
So can you imagine? And here's the thing about it. Now, where they're going to be at for the rest of the, in these next few years. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Come on now. But I mean, that's what I'm so happy about. If these guys keep, ascending to where they can be, dude, I'm telling you, that secondary in the NFL, I'm talking about for a number of years to come. I mean, you just keep that core guys together. Then we're talking about that's the whole dynasty talk, right? There you go. That's what you need.
And you're talking about guys who, we pride ourselves in hitting on these 4th and 7th round gems, right? These guys could be making a lot of money in a couple of years, JD. If they continue at the rate they're going, they're going to make themselves a lot of money.
A lot of money. Maybe not with the Chiefs as way, he does and Beats does. Beats is, hey man, I love it. Get your money somewhere else. No, but look, hey, hats off to him, man. Like I said, the whole organization. But we talked about these guys. We talked about Cook coming in, right? We named his name. Shoot, Karlaftis. We talked about him, okay? Come on, man. We was bringing these names up about this is who the Chiefs need to go get. So, so Marks, maybe we had a hand in it. I don't know.
David, you and I were all over this rookie class. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.